everyone, and welcome to the Morean Art Center. We are here tonight to hear from an extraordinary artist, Glenyse Thompson, and we're very excited to have her exhibition called Passionate Courage here at the Morean. And a little bit of background, I've known Glenyse since, I think, 2018. She first had her work here in one of our members' shows, and I just thought it was amazing, unlike anything I had ever seen. And the next year, she applied for our annual Emerging Artist exhibition called Fresh Squeeze. And she was accepted into the show. That was Fresh Squeeze 2 in 2018. So we got to know her a little bit better then. And she was amazing then, but since then, her career has just really grown, and her influence has spread. She's been in all kinds of magazines. She's in public and private collections. She's exhibited all over the place, and she's just an amazing artist and a great friend. And it's been a joy to see her work evolve in the last almost 10 years since I've known her. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Glenyse Thompson.
Thank you, Amanda. Now I'm nervous as I forgot about all those things. I want to thank Morean for inviting me to show my work again, and also for this artist talk, so I can explain a bit more about my work and how it's changed and where it's going, specifically about this exhibition, which I'm really passionate about. So again, I'm Glenyse Thompson. I am not a mixed media artist, more of a multidisciplinary artist, as I've gone from painting to collage and back to painting again. So now I'm kind of melding the two. You see some of that in this exhibition. I'm gonna get right to it. So just to go back a bit in time, these were early works. Started out in sketchbooks and started working with art as a healing process. I was going through things at work. So initially just drawing lines, doing a little painting, and that grew, got a little bit more solid, started experimenting with different types of ink and watercolor, which you see here. Then adding color, started really enjoying that, but still really working with the sketchbook. And eventually just went to black, white, just to see how the lines would grow. Eventually it grew into bigger and bigger artworks. And then we get to the concept and process of my work. Now, this took some time to say, how do I meld the colors and what type of inks or paints do I want to use? These are all inks. The backgrounds represent people, our brilliance, our vibrancy, who we are. We're different shapes, we're different sizes. And then the lines represent conversations. The conversation piece really evolved because I felt that I needed a way to say, how are we connected? And each line, if you think about your day-to-day, the first conversation you have is possibly with yourself or your partner, maybe your dog, and you make a decision. That's one line. Then you go to the gas station or someone pays you a compliment. That's another line. That might be the only compliment you get or give in a week. And we don't remember always how many conversations are important for us to live and how we need conversation to move about the world. If you think back to all the people that even today you spoke to, this would not even touch the amount of lines that is in this one piece of art, would not even touch the amount of conversations you probably had with yourself or someone else. The point of it is that we all need one another to move about the world. Anything we do, we have to do with someone else. Going on, this is more of a blue conversation, but very, very vibrant. The gold is muted. but still very present, purples and blues, kind of moody. And this is some of the process with, this was some of the process for the Two Americas series you'll see in a moment. Black paper, and it goes to white to bring as an undertone, and iridescent purple ink and pink ink, and then we get into the blues and the reds. These colors represent my version of American flags. And this is one artwork that was exhibited here at the Morean in 2018, and it's with the collector. Supposed to move, it didn't move, so we'll go on. And then we come into the 2022s and 2023 years. My work has gotten more brilliant and vibrant and colorful as the years have gone on, just because that's the way I really feel about who we are as people. And now we get to Passionate Courage, the inspiration for this exhibition. Initially, Passionate Courage was 2 pieces. They were exhibited in another museum center in Vermont. And it was amazing to me to go backwards in time just to think about how this one piece came about. It came about because of a conversation with a young person who just said, we were talking about something random and got on politics, and he just said, I don't vote. I don't vote at all. And I just stood there and I was disgusted, really. But when he explained to me why, I kind of understood why. He just felt like it didn't matter. There was no reason to even be registered because he didn't feel that the vote made sense. That's, granted his opinion. He felt that way, and I just felt in some way, how can I, with my artwork, work to change that? How can I encourage one person to change their mind about what they will do in terms of social justice, which is a vote? What will they do? And I was doing research at the time on something completely different and fell into this text on the Freedom Summers from the Wisconsin Historical Society. That's what it's called now. It was called the Archives at that time. And did more and more research and found a trove of information just that I felt touched me. And I said to myself, how can I incorporate that into my work? So in this art, if you look closely, it's gold leaf, but it's also the text from the Freedom Summers. And it's pretty violent. These things happen, they're facts, it's history in the 60s, but they are still happening today. These things are still happening today. People are getting brutalized, people are being killed, people are being stripped of their right or scared out of their right to vote. And if you look closely at some of the text, I'm going to read a little bit of this one. About 3 days after the incident with the white man with the gun, I went to the courthouse to help register some people, and the sheriff and Ben Collins were there waiting for me. Collins said, there aren't too many white people in town like you, and I'm not one of them. Then it's cut to something a little bit more violent. Person being called out of their name by the police. I won't read that part. But basically the policemen are scaring these people out of town by threatening to beat them. And if they did stay, they were going to be beaten. If sometimes, even if they did leave, they would come after them and run them off the road and then beat them. That's one. And two, all that glitters ain't gold, 1 and 2. And the point is that as you look at it, it's pretty from afar. You get up on it, and you see some ugliness. This is the passion and the courage that it took for us to have the right to vote today. These people were all colors, shapes, and sizes. And they continued, they persisted, and we got our rights. But it's because of them. They were so passionate, they were so courageous, that we should remember we have these rights because of them. And people are slowly eroding these rights. They're doing it on purpose. Next slide shows, I call this Mother's Day, 1961. And it's about the Freedom Riders, the bus that they were on, going throughout the South. It got stopped several times. They were beat up several times. But it got to a certain city in Alabama, and then it was firebombed. The police waited. The police stood by and waited until they were run off the bus. And then the mob beat them up. The mob beat them up as they ran off the bus. And as you see there, that's what the rest of the bus looked like when it was done. I think it's ironic you got the estimated green stamps there. Something there that was created to help people. And the bus is burned up. So in the picture, I show the artwork in this picture. In the original, it's black and white. I've added a little gold to show again, how do we look at something? How do we see something initially and then see the rest of it? What's there that you don't initially see? From afar, you think, oh, that's pretty, that's really pretty. You're drawn to the gold, possibly. You're drawn to the color, possibly. But then you learn the story and you realize, what else? What else happened? Are those people okay? All the people on the bus lived, but they were beaten up badly. And then they had someone in their group, Reverend Shuttlesworth, I believe his name is, sent a bus or sent more transportation to take them on to their journey, the rest of their journey. So on this wall, right in front of me, I forgot, the screen's right here. We've got another piece of artwork that I created, and I just wanted to show how factual documents have made it into this artwork. This particular artwork we reference from January 18, 1965 to the present, the Selma representatives of the federal government have been able to observe. That text is in this artwork, but you don't get the full story unless you go find the text. And then you realize, oh my goodness. I'm going to read some more of it. The Selma representatives of the federal government have been able to observe from their second-story office across the street from the Dallas County Courthouse nearly every arrest over 2,500 in 3 weeks, every instance of brutality, and every attempt at Selma's Negroes have made to register to vote. Now, think in real time, how many people were trying to register, really, that were deterred from getting their natural right, born in this country, not brought in from someplace else, and they were deterred from getting registered to vote. And they continued, they persisted. Nonetheless, they kept going. And then we have what I call intimidation. I'll read a piece of that one also. Intimidation to stop the summer project, police brutality. And next to that is the whole of this part of the affidavit. Affidavit 3 is about losing your job because you were trying to register to vote, okay? And this text is page 96 of 178. In this particular part of the Freedom Summers text, they had certain files. This is just one file. Page 96 of 178. I'm going to read Affidavit 4, the part that made it into the artwork. Charles McLaurin, 23, Negro, native Mississippian and field secretary for SNCC, told in an affidavit what happened to him and 4 other SNCC voter registration workers on June 8, 1964 in Columbus, Mississippi. I'm going to skip forward to the page that isn't shown on the screen. And I'm not going to read it all, of course. Let's skip to the really bad part. They went to jail. After jail, about 20 minutes later, James Black comes in with elders. Black's head was dirty. One side of his face was swollen out of shape. One of his eyes was blackened and bloodshot, and blood was running from his swollen mouth. His clothes were also torn and disarranged. He walked up to me and said, "He beat me," pointing to elders. Elders said, "This boy fell getting out of the car." Black's physical condition made it impossible for me to believe elders' statement that he had merely fallen. This is just one part of it, and there are hundreds of these files. More artwork and a part of some of the freedom riders that were on this bus. And then we have a new piece of work created in concert with this exhibition that has text invisibly shown in the background from Bruce Watson. Can't really see it there. It needs a black light. But that also goes back to what we see and what we don't see, and why it's important for us to be having conversations, to connect with each other, to continue to look for the unseen. This is part of the To America series. It was part of that work that you saw earlier with the black paper, white background. It's my version of the American flag, and it connects the black and the blue with the white, except that my version shows how bloodied and bruised the flag really is, what we stand on for the flag. And the lines are representative of the stars, the fact that we're all connected. We're all connected. The states are not the states. The people are the states. We are the states. And another one that is also being shown in this exhibition, another version of the American flag with the lines. And on the last slide, this is just showing, I don't know if we can really show it, how the artwork is made. Yeah, it's not showing. Not working, but that's okay. And that's it, I think.
I'm going to on the TV so we can do the
Yeah, I'm gonna step over here.
best side right now. In my mind, this was smoother.
All right. So this piece is called Peace Dominates War, Faith Reconciles Hope. The beginning of this sentence is acceptance dissipates prejudice, hope ends despair. This is a Bruce Watson's book that he wrote, and you don't know it's there. We really have to do more to see and listen to each other. That's the point of this artwork and putting this along with the lines and the colors. But you wouldn't know it was there. Some people come up and, what does it say, you know? But to really shine a light on it means you've got a different attitude towards the work now. And that's it. Anybody, thank you. Questions? Questions?
I have it's more of a statement, I guess, just, it's been interesting to see your work evolve over the years and how, but the common thread has always been community and connecting to people, and now you're relating it to a certain series of events that is incredibly tough to talk about or listen to or think about even, but the common thread still is there's the hope there, there's the, we can change things with those lines, these are the lines of communication, which is the key. And your work is, you've alluded to this several times, but you're really an activist through your artwork. And
well, thank you.
I love the way you do that. You're not, some people, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they'll kind of, be very heavy-handed, and there's some things that, and this subject matter, it should be heavy-handed, I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but the way that you're doing it, where you're drawing people in with these beautiful lines and these attractive colors, and then you just punch them with the reality of what you're incorporating in there in our history of our country, I just think it's incredibly effective, and I would argue maybe you're able to reach more people like that, instead of just being like, oh, that's tough to look at, I have to look away. Like you said, you draw people in, and that's what gets the message across.
Thank you. A lot of people in the studio who saw these first two pieces said, let's talk about this. Of course, I'll tell you more. Mm-hmm. When you tell people, I've had a couple of people just start crying, because they were either from that time or knew somebody from that time, or some of these youth, they're really in tune with what's going on. And they realize, their friends are not necessarily the people who want to vote, and they don't know how to convince them otherwise. It took a while to say, what could I possibly, because I'm a loudmouth in some ways. I want to beat you over the head. I want to make you, but that's not the way. That's not the way. The way is to be open to the other side of what you may not necessarily agree with, and then say, how can I bring my truth to the forefront and still do it in a way that makes sense and speaks to me? And this is what I came up with. And I'm growing this exhibition so that possibly it can travel and go to a museum or go to another place, and I can go with it and explain to whoever is willing to listen or not listen. Take a look at it. See, let me know what you think, and if it can change one mind, it's worth it. If it can, one mind. So I've changed a few already. I'll take some more.
I was going to ask you what's next for you, but that's what's next, I guess, is your
commissions, of course, I'm growing that part of my practice. But yes, more of this, and still working, working the practice itself and seeing where that goes. But nothing specifically contracted on tap for this work.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about it. I want to make some more, definitely. I love making these. They were a lot of fun. It's, It's fun to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm looking at them like, okay, wait a minute. But, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then you see the lines are still in all the work. They're big lines though, instead of the tiny ones. I forgot to add that.
Remind me the lady's portrait.
This is Fannie Lou Hamer. This work is called Same Shit, Different Day, Mrs. Fannie. Because the picture itself, the photographer took it to go the other way, where she's looking the other way. I flipped it and made it to look at this work, another time, another place, to say she was an activist. She was brutalized. She ultimately died of cancer. But they said her wounds may have contributed to her untimely demise. She was a person who worked to get delegates enrolled during the voting time. She worked tirelessly. She was fired from her job for working to get people registered. And she was a voice of change. Her name isn't in this work, but she's looking at it at the very first line up here, downtown Philadelphia, Massachusetts, on July 17, 1964. The pair were investigating the disappearance of 3 civil rights workers and preparing a newspaper article. Those 3 men became widely known to this day because they were strangled and basically dropped in a river. More details of it, but they were brutalized before they were killed. And this article details someone else perpetrating violence on another person who was just investigating this heinous crime. So, same shit, different day, another time, another place. It's another time and another place where this same shit is going on. And it was consistent. Go forward to today, we could name a few instances where we're all looking like, if you were there, you were there. If you weren't, you weren't. But you have thoughts about it. Okay? We don't always have to agree on what the thought process is. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And this goes back to the lines, the connection, the discussion. What are we going to do? More questions?
In this piece right here, you have all these lines coming into this one single convergence and then spreading back out again. Can you speak to that?
That is always about the conversation. Maybe the conversation kind of stopped there. Maybe it was a lull in the day. Maybe someone said something that you didn't quite agree with. And you had to take a moment instead of going forward with the discussion. There's more. There's always more. But you may have said something and then there was nothing to talk about for whatever reason. All these things that we normally do throughout the day. Maybe not a lunch break, but maybe an argument or a disagreement. Then you go on. And it goes both ways. All the time. I want more lines. But that's me. I want all the lines. There are limits.
The world would definitely be a better place if everyone felt that way, and if we would talk more about things as graciously and openly as both you actually speaking and your work speaking.
Thank you.
More questions?
Well, I want to thank you again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This was awesome. Awesome to talk about the word, hang out and discuss discussion, and this is lovely. Morean's great.
Well, it's been a privilege to show your work twice now, not counting the membership.